What is your AI aha moment for this episode, Bridget?
I had a hard time choosing one this week because I've had a few different ones, really different ones, but I'm gonna tell you about a panel I was on last Friday at a construction conference, a conference of very senior construction lawyers and arbitrators, and the three other panelists were lawyers and arbitrators. They kind of pulled me in because the panel was about AI, and and they did a pretty interesting thing. They took a mock construction dispute file that they had put together for like a law school exercise, and fed it into just the free version of ChatGPT. And then they did all in advance of the conference. And then they asked everybody who was coming to the conference to answer the same 8 questions that they asked the free version of ChatGPT to answer. And then they did sort of a comparison of where the free version of ChatGPT kind of got it right. They basically like went right to the final use case in dispute resolution and said, decide this dispute, free ChatGPT, and let's see how you do. And it was like shockingly good. Like just the free version, I think their data showed it agreed with these like senior experts in the field in 6 out of 8 of the specific questions they asked it to decide. And on the other two, they were the ones that they really were nuanced, and the group was kind of divided. And so it reminded me of Adam Unikowski's experiments with the Supreme Court decisions on the case on the questions that were close. It didn't come out the way a majority of the participants did, but it was everybody kind of agreed like that was debatable. And when I first saw the results of the experiment, I asked the other panelists, I'm like, shouldn't we try and run this through the paid models and some of the reasoning models because we're probably going to get different results. And they ended up running it at least through Claude 3 Sonnet. But I think I was wrong because by doing it in the free model and showing just how good it was, this entire room of senior lawyers, many of whom hadn't really been using it regularly yet, were I think we're pretty moved by the fact that just the free version could do such a good job. Um, so I always tell people who are using the free version that you have to use the paid version. And literally since then, I've now been telling people, or just use the free version. Like I mean, it is stunning what even the free version can do. And I do think until you just use the technology, it's hard to really appreciate how impactful it's going to be and what how it's a general purpose technology that's going to change our lives. So the aha was not like the technology doing something delightfully new for me that I hadn't, but just sort of the back to the future that the basic model can really uh, open eyes in a way that's stunning. So I don't know, maybe that's not enough, but it was stunning, I thought. Yeah.
Well, I think it's sort of like 2 levels of aha, right? Like, you're identifying 2 different ways to use it in that context. One is for demonstrative purposes, just helping people see how powerful it can be, and for that purpose, it sounds like the free version improved enough over time from, user engagement? Because it definitely was not there a couple years ago.
Yeah. No, that's right. It must have improved, I think, significantly because it really was the outputs were impressive. So, and it makes sense that it's improved. I don't ever use the free model anymore, so I'm not in touch with that, but um it was pretty impressive what it did. I thought impressive that they did it, that they, ran this experiment and
That's
showed the
very cool.
results. Yeah. Yeah.
But the second level, I guess, to your other question is if you were actually going to deploy it in a real world context, you could use the deeper, advanced reasoning models and get better results probably.
Yeah. And that was kind of my value add on the panel was to explain to everybody what the reasoning models do differently and how um if you thought this was impressive, get a subscription and run it through the reasoning models and see what happens next. And it was a really interesting conversation and a lot of openness. I'm seeing more and more openness from lawyers. Or some, I should say. At least the construction bar. The construction bar turns out to be like pretty at the front end of a lot of technology changes. I think because there's so much technology in the underlying business that they're involved in. So the bar seems to be, curious, you know, interested, which is fun. Yeah. How about you? Did you have a AI, moment this week?
So, well, first of all, we did not catch up on football news. My birds won the Super Bowl, and I will say I used AI to develop a menu for our neighborhood brunch that we hosted, which is not an AI aha, but it was an aha in the sense that I decided to host this brunch for 25 people and all their kids, like, the night before, and then use ChatGPT to create French toast sticks and, egg casseroles and all of these things that were really easy to make. And we've talked about that before, but that was delightful. I just said that to say, "Go birds." But my AI aha thank you. My AI aha was more of just this realization that I feel like I have crossed a threshold personally with my engagement of AI that I feel increasingly that I live in a different world than people who are not using this technology regularly. And it's a weird feeling because the faster the technology moves and the more I use it, the more I feel like I literally live in the future, and I talk to lots of people in my life who are very thoughtful, including about these topics. And when I probe, whether they're actually using the technology or how they're using it, they're not really using it at all. They're interested in it, some people. But when I say, "Are you using O1 or O3? Have you tried, the new reasoning models?" They're not even off of the free version of ChatGPT. And I had a conversation a few weeks ago with someone at lunch in a totally different industry, and their industry is like square one, like, "We just want some information about this." And I don't know, I don't do anything now without thinking first, "How can AI help me do this smarter, better, faster?" And so I don't know. I don't know if you've had this experience. It just feels like everybody else is 30 years behind now,
Yeah.
and that's weird.
Yeah, it is this, like, liminal period is it feels weird because I don't know if we were having this conversation 2 years from now, I bet it will then be if it's once it's in all of our iPhones and in all of our appliances, and again, the robots are bringing me my coffee or Diet Coke or wine. Um, we'll be through it, but right now we're in the middle of it, and it is odd. Yeah, it's really odd. I feel the same way. I don't yesterday, w our chief people officer at the AAA was describing to our board our promotion rate, and one of the board members asked a question that I had never thought to ask, which was, "What's a healthy promotion rate? Like, where do you want it to be? Like, what's the" and, he had great answers because this is what he does for a living, but I didn't, so I read immediately, like, to my friend, uh, ChatGPT, and got such a, like, thoughtful answer, and, it was I wouldn't have in a million years, I wouldn't have gone to Google and just wanted to get a bunch of links and, like, look through links to find, like, what different people say about the answer, like, I wanted it synthesized and organized and, so, yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
So weird, and we could talk on future episodes too about how this will unfold in education too, and how students increasingly I just don't think they will come to classrooms without having engaged with AI in some way. Um, and, there's a study out, I think last week, a new survey of employees across different industries that I think 30% of people are actively using AI at work now for professional purposes, whether they're allowed or not.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that somewhere. I don't know one of our podcasts that we always listen to, but I forget where, and I couldn't tell how many of in the 30% were secret cyborgs or were just allowed to use it. It wasn't clear to me. I don't know if you know, but
I don't know, the answer to that, but I will say I am sort of hearing more conversations in our industry about secret cyborgs as a major problem, um, in organizations with people finding out, that people are using tech for all sorts of things. And I just think that is the future, right? Thank you for tuning in to 2030 Vision, AI and the Future of Law. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Stay informed and inspired as we continue to explore the AI driven future of the legal profession. We'll see you next time.